You got it?
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. So
Yo.
this, hopefully, I'm doing this right. I should be doing it right. Um,
Well, it's episode 0, so.
yeah, we gotta get all the kinks out and everything.
Yep.
So pretty much this episode is gonna be about introducing ourselves, trying to figure out all the technical challenges. So this is the first time we do this, and also pretty much a little preview. Would you say, Pete?
Yeah. Preview things to come. Just really an introduction of what we want the podcast to be and what we really wanted to grow. Just basically explaining the podcast and like we said, this is episode 0, so this is us just testing the waters and getting everything going.
So, what do you would say would be a good introduction? As in, like,
What do you mean? Like basically
okay,
introducing ourselves, or
yeah.
or
Well, I can go ahead and start it off.
yeah,
So basically, man, how do I introduce myself? I never thought
first name,
about
last
this.
name, man.
First name, last name. Yeah, I don't think I should. Mm,
Just give a
hold
little bit of
on.
background. I can
Yeah,
start it. It's fine.
go for it.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of my friends are on here. So, I'm Pete, and I'm basically a father of 3. One of the reasons why I wanted to start this channel was because to really get out there about men's mental health and fathers' mental health. Really, being the pillar of strength in a family is it's it's really tiring. It gets to be real hard after a while. It's only You can only really talk to men about it. Only another. And, I've had my own hardships with mental health. Being a father, I was a young father. 18 years old, had my first kid, and
That's
yeah,
true. You were young when you had your
yeah,
first kid.
yeah,
Well,
really.
okay. Well, my name is Jaime, but mostly I'm pretty sure nobody's gonna pronounce my name right. Mostly nobody pronounces my name right. So just go ahead and call me James. That's much easier. Makes it much easier for everybody. Yeah, I'm a father of 2. I'm in a different position than Pete, so this is probably why we work best, because he brings a different aspect to being with kids than I do. I'm probably never gonna fully understand exactly how he does it, and vice versa, maybe. But yeah, living with kids with you 24/7. It's interesting, and this is pretty much the same thing what Pete said. Not everybody talks about the dad side. You know what I mean? Like, in I guess I think it might have to do with masculinity a little bit,
Yeah, yeah,
and yeah, this is pretty much gonna open eyes to whoever's listening to. It doesn't matter if it's male, female, or you know,
yeah. Very true.
parents that the same sex and whatnot. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
male or female doesn't matter. It's just about really just getting the story out, and we're gonna have guests on and to talk about their story because there's a lot of things that
Yeah,
I haven't gone through as a father. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I was not really father, but there's things that I haven't experienced, and just for guys out there who think that they're alone, you're not. There's a lot of guys going through the same thing, if not. And for me, what's really gotten me through it is knowing that somebody out there understands, and that's my biggest thing for this podcast. I just want people to know somebody out there who understands what you're going through.
yeah. Dads in general, they don't. I mean, dads in general, men in general, mental health, man. It's a thing that nobody really talks about that much, and even if they do, is not as how would you say, some people don't treat it as like a real issue?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, mental health in general is definitely something that's been coming up for a while. I know, especially with men, it's really starting to come into light just because, I mean, statistically showing men are more likely to commit suicide than women. I mean, it's in the stats.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing we want to get across is that we're not trying to be sexist here. It's just in
No,
general.
not at all.
Yeah, we just want to talk about this, just the other side of the coin. It doesn't.
Yeah.
We're not trying to promote anything
And,
like
and
that.
moms out there, if anyone ever wants to be a guest, give us your side of it. I mean, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Even
I know
though,
my side.
go ahead.
I know my side, but I don't know. A lot of women are stronger than anybody else.
Yeah, yeah,
I've seen a lot of tough moms out there, and like James was saying, um, we're not really trying to say that men, women, anything, it doesn't matter. We're just talking about mental health in general. But as a forefront, we're really trying to emphasize that men don't talk about their problems. We really don't.
yeah. And yeah, I'm reading. The chat's actually working on my end, Pete.
Oh,
So
sweet.
I think I figured that out. But
Sweet.
yeah, I'm reading one of the comments that someone posted, and it's true that on the. I guess we can start off on this topic where about men's mental health in general. How sometimes people feel that if they talk about it, they're either weak or they don't show a source of, because the dad, most of the time in the relationship, it's supposed to be kind of like the shield, you know what I mean, like the protector. And when you're showing your vulnerability, it's kind of
Well,
like
like I said, it's men are the pillar of strength, and it's really hard for men to really speak on these things because they don't want to show weakness. It's basically been instilled into us for generations that we have to have tough skin. Like for me personally, I only saw my grandfather cry one time my whole life, one time, and my whole entire life never told me he loved me. Now my uncle, on the other hand, being my father figure, he's told me he loved me plenty of time. Giving me a hug, been supportive my whole. But you see the generational shift between, grandparents, parents, and then to who we are now, and it's really a lot of it never got done away with. It just kept going and going. So
on that note, do you think it has to do with culture? Just so you know, is it a race thing? You know what I mean? Because that's one thing that I would like to find out as we go on through this podcast
yeah,
too.
I mean,
Speaking of the future
that's a very
future
good question.
episodes, because me and you are both Hispanic, so we know sort of how dads are, in this
Yeah,
type of culture, race, whatever you want to call it. And my dad's in a similar way too. You know what I mean? Like my dad was was tough on us, and he never truly. That's the same thing like Pete. He never truly told us that he loved us, but somehow we knew. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when someone's staring at you from the side, and you just know. You just know, and that's it. That's very interesting, and just
yeah.
just
I
just
mean,
remembering everything. It's crazy.
yeah. Looking back on it now as an adult, basically being a father myself, I really see that a lot of things that my grandfather were him telling us that he loved us, but he just couldn't say it. He didn't know how to express it, how to really. He knew how to show it, but he didn't know how to say it. So that was probably the biggest gap between us, basically. But yeah, it was. That is a very good question though. Culturally, how is it? It's it's definitely a conversation that I definitely want to have with different dads.
Yeah, I definitely want to have someone from a different life path
Yeah, I
go
mean,
and
I mean,
and
different
ask.
ethnicity and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, ask them like how was it, and And was it pretty much similar? Because sometimes, whether it's race or country or whatever, there's similarities. There's got to be. We're all human eventually, and
Mhm.
some things are just remain the same no matter where you go.
Yeah.
You hear that in comedians talking about, how they grew up. Dads being tough and whatnot,
Hmm.
and finally telling their kids that they love them towards the very very end and stuff like that. So that's a very big topic that I wanna
Yeah.
that I wanna explore in here.
It's a good one. I mean, also we're going to be having guests on, you know, guys from different avenues of life, young dads, old
Uh,
boys.
Another topic that I really want to get into, Pete,
Yeah.
is discipline. You know what I mean? Like, there's parents who truly believe that you shouldn't spank your kids, and there's other parents who are like, nah, this is the way to do it. You gotta spank your kids and whatnot. And
That's
I
me and
really
my
want to
baby
get into
mama.
that topic. That
That's
what?
me and my baby. That's literally that whole topic is me and my baby mama kids,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
So
man.
it's
That's
an,
good.
it's an interesting. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's another topic that we wanted to explore. I think was also religion too.
Oh,
Religion,
it's a good one.
even though I personally don't have that much, well, such a big influence on religion while growing up. So I want to explore that. I want to talk to parents, or just maybe even just us two talk about you know not even touching on not even touching on the belief system, just more about how it changed the way that you grew up. You know what I mean? Like, do you really think
Yeah.
it made a difference? Do you think that it makes you a better person now, regardless of whether you still believe in that faith or not?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good subject. It's gonna be a very controversial subject, but it's a subject that be very interesting to talk about. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, we're gonna have different guests on from different avenues of life. Um, male or female, doesn't matter. Mom, dad. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, we're hoping to do it every Monday, 7 p.m. And we're probably gonna be doing it hour and 30 minutes long. It's gonna be coming out pretty much all apps, Spotify,
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, that's what
Um,
we want to do. Every
yeah,
Monday at 7 p.m. We're gonna be going live, and we want to talk about pretty much everything. We still have other topics that we want to talk about too. I think you had written it down. Um,
yeah.
like, what's another good one? Well, see, here's the thing. I have one of my kids is I guess I don't know what's the actual term for it. I don't think I ever explored it since I don't talk about it that much. But what would you say? I would say, like, what, special needs, or being
Uh, um, a child with a learning disability.
yeah. Yeah,
That,
yeah. We can do that. Whatever you want to call it. We're not trying to offend nobody, but at the same time,
yeah.
that's what I bring to the table as well too. Uh, Having a kid that has special needs, special learning, whatever you want to call it. It's I want to get into that topic as well too. I want to hear. Hopefully, we can get another dad or people in the chat that can talk about their experiences, because
Oh yeah.
me, my brothers, and my sister, we never had something like that. So,
We had it in our family, but it was like an uncle.
oh, okay. So it wasn't like it was family, but it wasn't like a
Well,
brother or sister.
also, no, it was also my mother. My mother has a learning disability.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Oh, also, like I have a few friends here and there that want to come on and actually do the podcast and actually be a guest. I know for sure my buddy Abel, he's down for doing the podcast. Being he can really chime in on being an early dad, young fathers episode, uh, and also my buddy Marcus. told him we talk about child support. It's a thing that dads don't talk about.
Yes, yes,
They
yeah.
talk it down,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually like you're gonna hear it first here.
Yeah.
Child support really helped me be able to see my kids.
Child support, yes, 100%. Pete, that's a big topic we're going to talk about here as well too. You bring most of the experience on that one, since I'm not on that boat. But child support, man, that's something that some people say that when dads talk about it, they make it seem like if it's the dad's just trying to talk about it, so either the baby mama feels bad or that they should get rid of child support and stuff like that. And I don't think
I see it as a hindrance, honestly, just because they're like, oh, I got to pay on this kid for the next 18 years, blah, blah, blah. For me, it really allowed me to be able to see my kids. Just, there was no bullshit. There was no drama. It was just, I pay my child support every week. Comes out of my checks. I have no drama. And, I mean, really, I'm paying for a peace of mind here, really, to where I'm guaranteed to see my kids. And that's the way I see child support. So I don't see it as a hindrance. I don't see it as anything like that, but we'll definitely explore it more on that episode, because my buddy Marcus is actually the one that taught me about child support and what it really meant and what it really could be. So, yeah.
Child support. That's a big one we want to talk about. What's another thing that we had on the list, Pete, that we wanted to talk about in the future?
Single fathers. Single fathers for sure. Definitely want to see that. Also, fathers who are raising, kids that aren't theirs. Like their brothers or their sisters. Single moms. I mean, I would love to have a single show. And really see that aspect of it.
That's true. Yeah, we want to talk. We want to make that clear too. We want to have some women in here and talk about their side as well. Yeah, it's called the Yo Baby Daddy podcast, but that doesn't mean we can't have both sides. You know what I mean? We're not here to be picking fights and anything like that.
Oh no, not at all. Also, one thing we want to talk about is it's going to be we're going to have to structure it really well, but we want basically abortion.
Yes, abortion. Our dad's pro-abortion, anti-abortion. You know what I mean? Just your stance in general on it. That's another big one too. Abortion. Parents having parents who want to be parents. You know what I mean? Where the mom, or whether it's dad or the mom, that can't have kids. You know what I mean? That miscarriages, all that stuff. That's going to be interesting to hear it from the dad's perspective, because some guys keep it in. You know what I mean? Like, and some guys, it's just they hang it. They get a little chip on their shoulder, but they keep on going. But it's there, but we don't talk about it. So
yeah, especially the dads that, not dad, the guys that find out later they could have had a child, and then you find out the girl or basically just gave up on it. Things like that, the things that you hold in.
Yeah. Another one that I would say is having kids early. You know what I mean? You have a little bit of experience in that. So, young fathers, young mothers. How it affects you, whether you were still in high school or if, through college. The what?
Young mothers is going to be interesting, because as a young father, seeing what my baby mama went through, because she was also a young mother, seeing other women's perspective, especially considering, how different women handle different things. That's really, I don't know. I just think it'd be a real engaging conversation. Young fathers, young mothers, stuff like that.
Yeah, CPS. Yeah, someone said in the comments right now, CPS talk. That's definitely another one we want to get into as well too. Hopefully we can get into. Hopefully we can find a parent that had to go through that, whether if it was legitimate or not, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever asked you. Did you have to deal with CPS, Pete?
No, I did not, but
Okay.
a close friend of mine did
Okay.
hear the
Okay.
story. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
heartbreaking. Man. It was heartbreaking. Thankfully, I never had to go through that. Anybody who's I would.
Yeah, man.
It's fucking
CPS.
hell, dude.
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. I've heard stories, so it's gonna be interesting hearing it and being able to see that person because I've only heard like, oh, she said this and she said that, like as in like
Well,
like
it's really a lot of running your name through the mud, and basically they're just coming up with shit. It's either side, dude. I mean, I've heard both avenues from basically a mother getting her name being ran through the system, and it's just yeah, like I said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's it's a hard. We should also talk about one topic that I want,
which one?
the idea of adoption.
Oh,
Like, would you be
adoption.
open to it? Would you be open to adoption? You know,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
adopt. There's some parents who are truly, well, not truly, but like there's some parents who are against it, or there's some parents who they want to replace that hole, that void that they have, where they either they lost a child or they like once again
Go ahead.
going back to the miscarriages where they truly want to be parents, they have the financials, they have everything, they just can't, and they want to adopt. So
Yeah, I mean, I I'm very much for like my biggest gripe is the couples that wait for the newborn babies to be born instead of actually going kids, you know, 7, 8, 10, 15 years old have been in the adoption system this entire time and you know never get adopted. And it's those things that break my heart and those things that that we should really talk about on that episode. Adoption.
well, we can break the ice a little bit here, and let's go ahead and talk about that just a little bit more. Pete, are you? Let's say for example, you were with your baby mama. Would you be open up? Would you be open to adoption?
I've always been open to it. Um, my early on when we were together, we always talked about having 3 or 4 kids together, and then adopting one or two, uh, just to save a kid's life from being in the adoption system for too long. Even if it's just one, even if it's just one adoption, I've been okay with. But I've always been pro adoption. I really do wish they would fix the system and make it easier for people to go through the adoption process because I've seen people go through the adoption process and it's difficult. It is really difficult, especially as a gay couple. It is really difficult.
Um, on the adoption, they do have to make sure a bunch of things, right? Like they check,
Yeah,
don't they check like your financials in a way?
they
They
check
check.
your financials. They also check like your of course they have to check your background.
Mhm.
Uh, any misdemeanors or anything like that. But yeah, it's just standard stuff. But it's really like a really long and dragged out process to where if they were really just checking what they were supposed and it differs by state as well. So I'm just saying it right now. It differs by state. Texas can be different from New York, or
Oh.
Boston can be different from New Mexico.
Yeah, yeah. Well, real quick, anybody who's watching or listening, and they're not from Texas,
Oh wow.
or they're
They
wondering
also
why
do
we're talking
credit
about
score.
Texas. Yeah, this podcast is both of us
They
are
also
located in Texas, so we're gonna be
dude,
talking
they
about
also if you read one of the Facebook comments, they also
uh
do credit score. Wow.
credit score. Really?
Okay. Okay.
Yo, okay. I'm gonna say something. It may sound controversial, but are they trying to treat the kid like a freaking car payment, or what? You know what I mean? Like, what are they trying to do here? Like, okay, well, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it more, okay, it kind of makes sense why they would check the credit score, but at the same time, I don't know, man. That sounds a little messed up. You know what I mean? You
I understand
adopt.
the background check. like criminal background and stuff like that, but like a credit score really, like it's like, hey, we see here that you recently took out a loan for a washer and dryer. We don't think you're adoption material. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
like imagine, like, I don't know. I guess I'm reading too much into it, but just imagine adopting a child, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter, and they grow up, whatever, and they find out like the requirements. Do you think that would affect them a little bit? Do you think it's a little
so
messed up?
actually, Yo-Yo just actually comment on here. They make sure that the family who's adopting aren't basically trying to make a check off the government.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, I didn't know about that. That's interesting though. That's interesting. Um, what's another thing that I want to talk about, man? And this is some good topics that I really want to get into. Obviously, this is just a very, this is the episode 0, working out
Trust
the
me,
kinks episode.
Literally, I got a list of stuff.
Yeah. You were man. I know a little background between me and Pete here. I've known Pete since 6th grade, so we go back for a good amount of time. And
16, 17.
yeah, and I don't think I've ever asked him like deep stuff as much as I think I do. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that I don't think I've ever asked him. So doing this podcast is gonna be interesting for both of us. I'm pretty sure there's some things that he's probably never tried to ask me, or he's just never known in general, and vice versa. So yeah, like you were a single child, correct?
Yes, single child. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
when
wasn't the first child though. So
see that I did not know that.
I wasn't the first child, but I am a single child. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that. I don't think there's ever been a subject or a reason why to talk about that, but I don't think I don't think I've ever known that.
Going back to, there's a lot of things that men don't talk about. Like unless I'm asked about it directly, then I'll maybe talk about it, but only if it's somebody that I've known for a really long time or that I really trust. But other than that, I don't really talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Same thing like me. Like I don't really talk about not in this deep personal level, but I don't really talk about like my sister or like my brothers in general. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, people ask me, you know, do you have a brother and sister? Of course, you know, I answer that. But like, if they ever ask me, like, I don't know, like if my brother or sister's ever gone through something, is interesting.
A good topic would be depression, just like mothers get post traumatic. Yeah.
Yep. Good. Yep. Depression.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that would be under the mental health umbrella, but yeah, depression, man. It's
interesting to have.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
To have a guest who's a mother who's had postpartum depression, that would be. So I've never seen that firsthand, and that would be eye opening.
I guess when we explore the topic in another episode much better, I'll have I'm gonna do some research and stuff. But is there such a thing as for? I know, you know, there's depression for mothers after whether they lose a child, miscarriage, or they have the child. Is there such a thing for fathers? You know, for dads or males in general?
I don't know. Honestly, I know.
Yeah.
I know you can, of course, feel it. But man, there's a name for it. There's a name.
Wait, say it again, Pete. You were cutting off.
I don't know if there's an actual name for it, or if there's an actual, you know, thing about, you know, postpartum depression. I know. I don't know. I know.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do our research. We'll explore. You know, I don't want to come in here and especially stuff that I don't know about. I don't want to come here empty-handed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really gonna do my research and try to bring up as much as we can, because obviously, you know, not every episode we can have someone who's dealt with it and whatnot. So we really want to, you know, get some knowledge under our belt and be able to talk about it. But someone in the chat is saying yes, that this is a thing. So I will love to explore that more as well too in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as we can, actually like get somebody's view on it, if they've been through it, and but yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure someone's been through that, but they just don't have a name for it because, again, men just either bottle it up or they try to be that pillar of strength. So
yeah, or just might be categorized differently. But yes, I know what you mean.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, right now, since we're in the COVID times, being a dad or just being a parent in general during COVID, it's crazy, man. It breaks my heart. Like last time, I forgot where we were going. We were going to, like, I think it was like my parents, who are like probably like one of like the 3 or 4 places that we actually go with our kids, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like my parents, and we passed through. When we're going to my parents, there is like a water park and like parks in general, and one of my kids was like, "Hey, Daddy, I want to go there. When is it gonna open and stuff?" And I'm just like, man, it breaks my heart because I want my kid to be able to do physical activities, and it's weird, man. Telling a kid to, hey, don't touch that playground because it could have COVID. It's a weird thing to do. It's a weird thing to say.
It's been weird for me as well. I mean, my daughter always liked going to the store with me, and she would like getting in the shopping cart and doing all that stuff with me. And now when I go to the store, I can't take my kid. I basically tell them. First came out, I was like, "Hey, sorry, honey. There's a viral outbreak right now, coronavirus. I can't take it to the store. I can't take the risk of you getting sick. But yeah, I mean, we're living in some weird times. I mean, we can actually talk about it right now.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and talk about COVID real quick?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I had the Rona. It was not fun.
Yeah, how was it? Okay, talk about a little bit about how you had, because I've been fortunate enough not to catch it yet.
So, I mean, from everybody that I hear, it's different. Everybody has different symptoms, but for me personally, the problems that I had was literally within the first day, I lost my sense of taste, and that's how I knew I had COVID. Immediately got tested, came back positive the next day, and then literally after I got tested, I quarantined myself. They emailed me the results, and then first week was fever, coughing, and then sneezing, and then just mucus and stuff, and then
Pete, real quick on the fever. How long did you have the fever? Just that first day?
No. The fever was probably for like a week.
A week?
Yeah, the fever was for like a week, dude. It was pretty bad. It was like on and off on it.
Yeah.
And when the second week, my lungs felt like how do I put it? Like I could only take in like half capacity, and like it was weird, dude. I had to sleep because I found this website that was talking about different symptoms, and they basically told you if your lungs were hurting to sleep on a side, to switch positions every 2 to 3 hours. So that's what I was doing, and yeah, that was probably the hardest part was the breathing.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me. I remember I called you once, and then you're like, "Hey, man, I got COVID," and I'm like, "Damn, dude." And then you're like, "Look, man, I feel." What'd you say? I think you said I feel like a chump, or I feel like such a weakling that. What you were like mopping or sweeping, right? Like something real quick, and then you're like huffing and puffing, like right after.
Yeah, dude, it was like it was actually after COVID, and my lung capacity hadn't come back all the way. So like, and I
so
tested
you're
negative
okay
as
now
well.
though. Like it's not
I'm
decreased.
No,
okay,
I'm good now, but like, I would say it took me like a good 2 months to get my full lung capacity back.
After you
And
tested negative.
after I tested negative, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It slowly built back up. It was like it was weird. It was like my lungs had to build the resistance back up and build that strength back up to be able to, breathe as much as I usually do. Uh, I know, like, I remember the conversation we had. Like, I think it was like sweeping or mopping the house, and I ran out of breath, and I felt like a bitch. I was like, oh my god, it felt awful, dude. It was bad.
Oh, oh yeah. One thing we didn't. I guess we didn't mention in the beginning. Yeah, we're gonna be cussing. Just so
Oh yeah.
if anybody hasn't realized it by now. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna be. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some heated debates. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some parents here talking about either whether it's baby mamas, mother-in-laws. That's another one that we want to talk about.
That's good.
Mother-in-laws, father-in-laws. Like, not in a bad way. Just like
Their experiences with it.
yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, because look, man, I'm shy. So when like meeting like my girl's baby, my girl's mom or my girl's dad in the beginning, I try to play it off as cool as possible. But yeah, I'm just awkward. I'm just awkward as fuck. So that was an experience for me.
What's been your experience with COVID?
My experience with COVID, well, like I said, I've been fortunate enough not to catch it. And if I did catch it, then I didn't show any symptoms because I've been okay. But
I know some people who got it and they showed no symptoms.
yeah. So one thing that I can say is that I know someone personally pretty well. I don't want to say who it is. I don't know if they're okay comfortable me saying, but basically someone that I know pretty well who had it. Like, basically they said, oh, I had COVID for like one day, then after that he was fine. Like, this person was just chilling the rest of the 2 weeks while he was under quarantine, and he lived with his girlfriend, and she didn't catch it.
Really?
Yeah, so like she was there, like, you know what I mean, like she was there with them. They live in the same apartment and everything, and she didn't catch it, and he did, and he only had it for one day. So that was crazy. Either he's got some good immune system, or she got a good immune system. I don't know who's got the good immune system, but yeah, COVID, it was just like, nah, I can't do it with these people.
Yeah, my come to find out, my daughter gave it to me, and really, I only really let my guard down with my kids, and apparently, she had it, but she didn't show any symptoms, and then she was just asymptomatic, so she just passed it on. She passed it on. So, sure enough, apparently they had gone to a birthday party. Come to find out, one tested positive later on.
Oh, also I want to say, just in case if anybody's wondering why the heck am I tilting my head, I have two monitors, y'all. I got Pete on the other side. All right, I don't want to be like a deer in the headlights, just like this the whole time, just talking to you guys like this. Yeah, no, I didn't want to do that. That would have been weird. Even if I don't feel ashamed, I would have been weird. Yes, someone just said in the chat, that's another thing too, Pete. Are you pro or against having kids in school right now?
Oh man, that was.
Let's go ahead and get in that one. Let's go ahead and get into that one right now. I'm.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so let's go. This is going to be the first one that we actually go into it. This is probably going to take us like another 30, 40 minutes, but I'm against having kids right now, but not because of this might sound dumb, but not because of COVID, but because that okay, speaking from me, one of my kids is 4 years old right now and the other one's 5. The 4-year-old one is the one that is special needs, and the 5-year-old one is the one that's going to Head Start or whatever we want to call it. She barely turned 5 in December, so she's not in kinder yet. So for her school, I'm not talking about the school just in general. I'm talking about just the kids in general, just the nature of kids. They're gonna be touching stuff. They're gonna, you know what I mean? They're gonna explore. They're gonna, no matter how much you tell a kid, hey, COVID's going around, try not to hug, to hug each other or touch. grab hands or anything like that, they're gonna do it. So that's what's making me say no. It's not really, obviously it is the COVID thing, but it's more about the kids are not at the capacity to be able to be like, oh, I get it. Mom said that there's COVID around. I can't do this. No, you're gonna tell them that, and during the moment, they're gonna be like, oh, Alex, Jenny, whoever their friends are, they're gonna, they're gonna want to hug. They're gonna want to play. Yeah. Someone said early child development. Yes, that's something that kids don't. You know what I mean? They don't know how to follow the rules. I guess.
It's really hard to instill to them that they need to be careful and to really understand that, hey, you can't touch another kid, or hey, you can't be a certain distance around kids. Their base nature is to play with other kids and to be interactive. And you're basically telling them, no, don't do that. It's a weird one, because from my viewpoint of it, and like I said, I had a heated debate with my big mom about it. I'm for the online classes with the kids, but the problem with my kids, especially my son, my oldest, he's actually 11 now, and he is just like me. He will do the bare minimum to get out of doing work, but he's one of the sharpest kids you've ever met. He's smart. He's really, really smart, but he's lazy. It's just like me. He's lazy, and he takes advantage of the online classes. So, like, we've caught him a couple times, watching YouTube in the back while he's supposed to be on the meeting or whatever.
Teacher's like, "Hey, where's this kid?" And he's just there watching YouTube.
Yeah, he's just watching YouTube or whatever, and different stuff. He'll be like reading manga or whatever. He's supposed to be doing work or whatever, and I'll ask him like, "Hey, dude, why aren't you doing your work? I already finished it. All right, let me see." And he'll show me that he finished it. And it's like, damn, smart little bastard.
Yeah, and that's the thing about kids like that, where you just all like, let me see, and then they go ahead and show you the work, and you're just like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, it's like, I can't argue with you, dude.
Yeah, just in your head, like, shit, what I tell him now, like,
and it's like, I wish they had a better structure for kids to go back to school, especially because I know I'm a hands-on learner, so like I know my son's the exact same way. If he's in a classroom, he'll learn better, and he won't take advantage of the system that's in front of him. But that's just not possible right now. Yeah, it's difficult, because I know some parents who their kids' first year of school was this year, or last year actually, 2020, and literally the first day of school was literally in front of a computer screen. And talked to a buddy of mine. He was like, "Dude, it was heartbreaking." I said, "It's supposed to be a special day. What's your first day of school? Pre-K, awesome." Nope, in front of an iPad, and it sucked.
Yeah, man. COVID in school right now is interesting, and like I said, the only reason that I'm saying no right now to like put them in school in school with everybody else is because.
Interesting question. Should help be provided for families who can't stay home for online classes?
Well, here's the thing. That's another thing, COVID related with schools. Yeah. There's parents who I don't want to say it in a bad way, but they kind of depended on the schools to provide child care, to basically daycare while they go to work. You know what I mean? And
that's very
the what?
That's very true.
Yeah, and very true. And now some of them are either paying for daycare, which they didn't have to pay before, or asking favors from grandma, grandpa, whoever it is, another family member. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
I personally think that schools aren't going to go back to normal anytime soon. Just
no.
Because of how many people don't want to take the vaccine, and how many people, how many people do, how many people don't.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then also the thing that, sorry to break you off real quick, but the thing is about the vaccine that it's not 100%. It's a good percentage, but it's not 100%. So that's why a lot of people will rather focus. They'll rather put a magnifying glass on that last 10. Why is my computer doing a virus scan? Anyways, at the wrong moment. there's a lot of people who put a magnifying glass on the last 5%, whatever it is. I think it's the new Pfizer one is like what, it's 95% effective, something like that. I forgot.
Well,
We're bringing in the research. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's also the fact that it came out so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people don't trust it because it came out so quickly. And also, sorry to cut you off, Pete. But people who look at the past last medical advances, in the past in history, some say, oh, it took years to develop the polio vaccine, or took years to develop this vaccine and whatnot. You guys got to understand that technology in the last 10 years has evolved a lot. I'm no medical expert, but I can guarantee you there's been some breakthroughs on speeding up the process. Sure, once again you can make the argument that it's not 100%, but being able to pump this vaccine within a year, and being effective as 90 to 95%, that's pretty impressive, y'all. It's crazy.
It's impressive, but my only concern with it, and this is just my valid concern as a parent, is the biggest thing about vaccines is the most effective way they work is herd immunity. And if everyone takes it, then yes, that 90 to 95% is solid. But if only, let's just say, I don't know, half the United States takes it, then your percentages go down. And that's because there's people still carrying, the coronavirus, and it's mutating, it's changing, it's adapting. I mean, you hear about, the new strain of coronavirus that's in UK or France or something like that, and it's something that it's a very hard topic to talk about right now, because people are genuinely scared because of how many deaths there have been, how quickly it came out, stuff like that. It's just it's a very hard thing to talk about right now. A lot of people are on the fence, are just waiting for everybody else to take the vaccine first and see how it turns out, and then maybe they'll take the vaccine. For that answer from a lot of
what about someone mentioned right now, and it makes a good point. Are you, if your kid's school, Pete, if your kid's school said, hey, your kids can go back, but they have to take the vaccine, are you all up for it? Are you saying no, I'll just rather wait a little bit so the new one comes out, like the new vaccine, or you know what I mean? Like,
so my situation is a little bit different. My baby mama handles all that stuff, so she really does it too. Vaccines happen on her schedule. So like, let's just, our youngest is 3. So let's just say he has three sets of shots that he has to take. So what she'll do is she'll do right there and then she'll do one, and then come back and do the second, come back and do the third. She won't do all 3 at the same time. So
I know parents who do that, who they're like, nah, one vaccine at a time.
So she's like really cautious about that stuff because just different things that she hears out there and stuff like that, and that just she really does the research about the vaccine that came out, and the COVID vaccine, and she wants to wait. She basically she's basically told me firsthand that even if things go back to normal and they say, yeah, if you get the vaccine, kids can go back to school, she will keep the kids at school online, while that happens, until she feels that it's right to get them vaccinated and go from there.
Okay, so she's not truly anti-vaccine, but at the same time, she's cautious about it.
Mother is anti-vaccine. But yeah, she's very,
so your baby mama's mom is anti-vaccine
to a certain extent. So
okay.
If it's something like the polio vaccine, like that she knows has been around since World War II or World War I or something like that, she'll get them that. But if it's like, I don't know, something that's been talked about widely, like the smallpox vaccine, she won't do it. But my baby mom is more, it's going to be on my terms kind of thing. Like, hey, you'll get the vaccine, or you'll get vaccinated, but it's going to be one at a time. So yeah.
Okay, That makes sense. That makes sense. I would vaccinate my kids if this thing. I'll say this. I'll say this. If by next year, by 2022, man, I was gonna say almost. I was almost gonna say 2021, but we're already in 21. By 2022, if we're still doing the same thing, as in like my kid can't physically interact with other children's, and they can't go to parks, they can't touch a jungle gym or anything like that. I would say yes to, like, get them. Let's go ahead and get them vaccinated, and so they can go back to school. Because, like I said, I'm just really against my kids going to school because of just the nature of kids. They want to explore, they want to touch, they want to hug, they want to throw things, they want to do what kids do, and we can't fault them for that. So that's my stance on vaccinating the kids to go back to school. If by next year, if it's still the same thing, or if they come up with one that's like 100% guarantee, which it's going to be a while, since I know they're trying the hardest, but it's going to be a while.
Yeah, and the adults are going to be first. I mean, a lot of places are going to basically require you to take the vaccine beforehand, just to make sure that you can go back to work. And yeah, I know the adults are basically going to be, basically going to be first, man. That's one thing that my baby mama asked me about. Hey, is your job going to require you to take, the vaccine? And I told her, honestly, I don't know. I haven't been told anything about it, but as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Well, you currently work for that certain company, so I don't want to get into that, but it's interesting. It's interesting because I know some jobs are being real strict about it, and that makes sense, especially the ones that are like in the medical field. Obviously, they're the ones that are in the front lines and whatnot. Other jobs too, cops,
first responders, all that good stuff.
Yeah, all that good stuff. So I know that for them, and I know some other ones like I know someone who works with kind of like a boys and girls club in a way, and that one makes sense too. You know what I mean? If they want to get back into the programs of having kids go there after school and whatnot, they got to get vaccinated.
my buddy Miguel said guinea pig. Well, I mean, you don't really have a choice. You're in the army. They're gonna make you take it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Someone put in the comments, "Do not forget our food industry." That's very, very true. People who are handling the food, whether you work at it, that's one of the things that they don't hear that much. Everybody mentioned, and we just mentioned it too. What are the first things that we mentioned? Medical workers and frontline workers. We're not trying to discredit them, but at the same time, that is true. We don't talk about people who are handling our food, who are relying to be safe while we get that pack of weenies, that apple, or you know what I mean, like that could have COVID too. So that makes sense for them to get vaccinated. Now, do you think, regardless of what job you work at, Pete, do you think it should be up to the employer to pay for the vaccine? Because I don't know if it's true, but I've heard from some people that they're making the employees pay for it out of pocket, or they'll do like a co-pay type of thing where they go like 50-50.
Yeah, I've heard of that as well. I think it should be up to the companies, man. Honestly, if it's required, then it should be up to the companies to pay for it. Especially if they want you to come back and be in an environment. So let's just say you're working at home. They want you to come back to the office and work. Honestly, if they're pushing for you to go back to work, or you got to deal with customers, firsthand, companies should really be covering that, honestly. And in the long run, it's really saving them money. Honestly, the bullet they bite on having to pay this out is, a drop in the bucket compared to things going back to normal, the economy going back to normal, all that stuff.
Yeah, That's another thing too that we want to talk about financials from the dad's perspective and from the mom's perspective too. You know what I mean? There's like myself right now. Currently, I am a stay-at-home dad, and that's not very common. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's people who talk about mostly financials from the dad side, where the dad's only the one that's working, or you know what I mean? Like, so it's
or both parents are working.
Yes. One parent working, either whether it's the dad or the mom, or both of them working. Like, once again, we mentioned earlier about the school. You know what I mean? Like, not to make it sound in a bad way, but some parents rely on their kid going to school from, for the amount of time that they go. So by the time they get out of work, they can just, pick them up and, they're done.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I've seen some parents who actually, kids who actually rely on that meal for going to school, for breakfast and lunch. Like, it's something that, low-income families really need. Like, even now, like, they have schools here in Dallas that are passing out the free lunches for kids who are doing, like, the whole stay-at-home, the online classes. They're basically still passing out the free meals that they're getting at the schools to whoever basically wants to pick them up.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Pete. Some parents are relying on the school system to provide food for their child. That's very true. It's one thing that I've totally forgot about that we haven't mentioned. But yeah, we want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Teachers, whether it's high school, middle school.
I feel for teachers, man. Honestly,
yes, 100%.
From having to deal with, kids in general, to the lack of pay, to the lack of appreciation, to, even the whole school shootings thing. Like, they were trying to get teachers to basically be packing heat in these situations. Like, oh, if a teacher had a gun, we wouldn't have this conversation. Like, come on.
Okay.
Really?
Look, before I laugh, what Pete said, I don't laugh as in like to make fun of the teachers. I laugh because I have a pretty dark humor. So when he was saying teachers packing heat, I don't know, I just laughed. All right, so don't get it wrong. I'm not trying to make fun of teachers for trying to pack heat. It is what it is, and
there's something wrong with it. I mean, I'm pro gun, but at the same time, like, I'd much more rather have a security guard who's trained on an actual firearm than a teacher who just got a license and here carry a 9mm in your pocket. Kind of thing.
To me, yeah, 100% agree with you on that, because it makes sense for the teachers already focused on not only doing the best as you can for the kids. I've had teachers even all the way to high school, and some of them even in college, where they would, out of their pocket, they would go ahead and pay for stuff to whether it is to help them out or to, like, as a reward. You know what I mean? Like, they already have to worry about all that stuff, and then you gotta go ahead and teach them about how to use a gun. Come on, man!
I also have friends that actually became teachers after high school here in Dallas, and I know one specifically. She this is actually, like, I think her first year at a new school district, and it's heartbreaking for her because, like, half of her kids are on, and then the other half she has to, like, basically have two to a table 6 feet apart, and then it's like, it's been pretty crazy for her. Especially, she's been a teacher for a few years now, but now school district and stuff, COVID happened. It was just crazy, man. Like, but it's funny how we don't talk about, the other people on the front lines. Talk about first responders, talk about everybody else. But nobody talks about the food handlers. Nobody talks about teachers. Nobody talks about freaking janitors, man. Janitors are doing the Lord's work right now. Cleaning everything, disinfecting everything, making sure everything's good. It's crazy,
man. Someone put in the comments about how they had to learn a whole new way to teach kids. To to the online schools, learning about computers and stuff like that. And that they bring up a good point too. Like, luckily, me and Pete, we know about computers. You know, it may not be like freaking NASA level or whatever you want to call it, but we know about computers. We know how to Alt F4 and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Probably selling myself a little short here because I know more than that. But regardless, we know how to work a computer, and I know there's parents out there who don't know how to do all that stuff, who don't know how to reset their PC, or if anything, if
sure.
anything happens like that, technical wise.
I know here in Dallas they were passing out like Chromebooks and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was everywhere because my kid has a Chromebook.
Yeah, but there's a lot of parents that don't actually. They don't even have internet. There's some families that didn't even have internet before, and now of course they have to have internet.
Yeah, that's true. That's another thing. Like, man, once again, y'all, when we talk about this topic much more in depth, we're gonna bring some information. We're gonna bring some knowledge. But I know there's still an impressive number of families who don't have access to internet. That's crazy.
Yeah, I actually have a buddy who works for AT&T, and he was telling me like they've been slammed with people just barely getting internet for the first time, or people upgrading their internet just because they're working from home. Kids are on the internet 24/7 now for online classes, iPads, all that. They need more bandwidth, and it's getting crazy, man. Like, he's been putting in 6-day work weeks, upgrading people's internet or installing it for the first time, running whole new lines, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's another topic that I want to get into. I want to talk to different dads about how dads who put it in the big work. You know what I mean? 90+ hour weeks. I know it's your job. You put a lot of hours in. There's a lot of dads out there who put 40+ hours out there, and I know sometimes they carry that inside. Some parents. I mean, some dads don't. Whether it's the mom and dad, both of them. There's moms out there who work 2-3 dads that
2-3 jobs.
I mean, 2-3 jobs that they don't talk about it, or they just go ahead and view it as it is what it is now, and I don't want to make a big deal out of it. But I would like to hear their perspective of how it is.
I think we should really have a whole episode for stay-at-home dad, honestly, just to really drive home like the not only the stigma around it, because we can be honest, there's a stigma around it. If you hear stay-at-home dad, you don't think the same thing as a stay-at-home dad.
Someone caught that, the whole 2 or 3 dads. Sorry. Yeah.
But it'd be a good episode to talk about stay-at-home.
Yeah, man.
How it is, man. Just talking, from your personal experience, how I think that'd be a really good.
Yeah. Going back to what we said about earlier about the teachers learning how to do certain things, I feel for the teachers, man, because there's teachers who are like, they had it down to the T. I'm pretty sure they started out the year like, you know what, this is how it's gonna be. I already got my system going. I know, you know what I mean. I know what I'm gonna do, and then bam, COVID hits, and it's like, ma'am, you're gonna have to learn more than basic computer skills. And like, oh shit, like and sometimes it's not even the teachers. I know that sometimes they have their settings right, and just the Wi-Fi or the internet in general just starts lagging, or their computer, you know what I mean? Like, trying to work with all that.
Stepdads is it?
Yep, stepdads.
That's gonna be a good one.
Stepdads. I know there's people out there, man. I know there's people out there who think that stepdads or stepmoms. We can't forget about the moms, but stepdads or stepmoms that think
stepparents.
Step parents. People who think that step parents are not real parents, no matter how much you do. There's people out there who think that. I personally don't think that. I personally think that if you've raised a kid most of their life, you're the parent. You know what I mean? You're the parent. It doesn't matter if you're the biological parent or not. It's, to me, in my eyes, I see you as a parent.
Oh yeah, yo, we Yo-Yo just actually commented on. We plan on talking about LGBTQ stuff, especially in his Hispanic family household. How like, it's harder for somebody to come out in that situation, but also like a dad's feelings towards it. You know, from like I don't know, just looking at how a previous generation would have looked at it. We as a generation would look at it. You know, I've been asked that question before. What would you do if your son came out to gay? You know, my answer is always, I love him just the same. I judge him for what he does.
No, Pete, I'm gonna have to call you on this. No, I'm just joking around. No, no, I know you told me about that. I know you told me. I was just joking around. Yeah, man. Talking about kids that they want to be a certain type of gender, doesn't matter what they want to be.
That one's a little bit harder. The whole gender fluid thing, that one's a little bit harder.
Ooh, we disagree on that one. That's going to be interesting when we talk about that one, because I disagree on you on that one. But yeah, it's all right. All right.
Yeah. So for me, I would just basically tell him, if it was my son, let's just take for example, he's my oldest. I would just basically tell him, look, keep living your life, learn about life, and when you become an adult, if you decide that's what you really want to do, then at least you've had all these years of experience to really realize if that's what you really want. As a kid, you don't know the world enough. You don't know what you're feeling today will be the same thing that you feel when you're 18 or 20 or 22. Live your life, learn from it, and then make that decision.
Yeah. I was gonna say let's talk about that a little bit, but to be honest, I don't have my knowledge of up to date on that. So I want to talk about that though. Definitely want to talk about that in another episode. You know what? Another one I want to talk about is grandmas and grandpas, or great grandmas and grandpas. Doesn't matter. Great grandmas, great grandpas, grandma and grandpas. Whether they accept, talking about LGBTQ, if they accept kids, you know what I mean? If they accept kids, they come out like that.
I mean, grandparents and great grandparents. We can also talk about hardcore Mexicanos, that racist, like that. We can talk about that too if we wanted to. Like I've met grandparents that helped my grandfather. If you weren't Hispanic, he didn't like you.
What, for real?
Yeah, for real, dude.
Well, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, my grandfather was old school. Like he grew up on a farm, grew up on a ranch, basically.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to meet him a couple of times.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he was real old school, but like he would give me the stink eye whenever I come home with a friend that is not Hispanic. It was
what do you mean your friend's not Hispanic? What?
Bringing over like a white friend, bringing over like an African American friend, stuff like that, dude. Like, just all racist. If you weren't Mexican, he didn't like you.
Yeah.
Hey,
there's a lot of Hispanic grandpas and grandmas that are like that. You know what I mean? They don't really believe in other races. I don't know, and that's. I think I'm gonna ask the my grandparents that are alive, right? That I still have alive.
Yeah.
I want to ask them whether if it's because of their upbringing, just the way they were taught. You know what I mean? Like, because that's very interesting. And I had some. I'm not gonna say which grandparents, but I had some grandparents that were like that too. Where they were kind of like, no, don't be doing that. Don't be bringing them over, or don't be having friends like that. You better not date nobody like that. So that makes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, the dating one, right?
Oh, the dating was the that was the taboo one. One thing I also want to talk about is being raised by your grandparents. What impact it had on you as a person, being raised by not the previous generation, but the generation before that. I have a few friends who were raised by their grandmothers or fathers. Me as well. I mean, much differently than other people in my generation.
Yeah, Like like you mentioned earlier.
Values.
Yeah, you were raised by you were basically. I know it's not all him, but your Theo was there too. But you were basically
Yes.
raised by your grandfather in a way.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather, my grandmother. My grandmother was
Yeah.
realistically my mother figure my entire life. And my grandfather, was always there, from the beginning. And my uncle really stepped in when I was say like 6 or 7 years old, and then really took it from there. Uh, but yeah, it's something I want to touch on just because it's not something you really hear about. It's only when someone else who's lived through that can really talk to you about it. And that and what was it?
Huh?
Yeah, I forgot.
I was like, wait, what?
I had it on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, someone mentioned about. I saw in the chat right now. Someone mentioned about big ass beatings. You know what I mean? Like parents whooping your butt. Man, I got a story for that one. And I don't know if some people are gonna feel comfortable, like our guests in general, are they gonna feel comfortable talking about if they ever got an ass whooping so bad? But just a little preview. I got an ass whooping so bad that from what I remember, because the brain works in mysterious ways, but from what I remember, I felt like I was gonna die, legit, 100%. Not even joking. Like it was bad. I had fever. It was bad, Pete. It was bad.
Like what age were you when that happened?
Okay, so we can go into it real quick. When I'm trying to remember exactly.
I mean, we don't have to go into it if you want to.
No. That's fine. It's fine talking about it because for a period of my life, like for the last, not gonna lie, for like the last 7 years, I had forgotten about it. And you know what? And you know what brought it back? Me and my brother talking. Just just relaxing, drinking some beers. It was me, him, and my father. We were just talking.
Was it you and Victor, or was it you and your eldest brother?
No. It was me and Victor, and we were talking. We were just just relaxing. It's rare that we drink with my dad, and I guess he was having a heart-to-heart conversation with us, and he had to go do something. And my brother asked me. He was all like, "Do you still remember that?" And I'm like, "Do I remember what?" And then he told me, remember when Dad beat you up so bad, even I was scared. You had a fever for like a whole week. You had bruises. You couldn't even get off the bed. You were basically I was basically bedridden for real, dude. I was basically bedridden for 1 week. I had fever almost every day. I couldn't get up. It was just they had to feed me. It was.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. And and someone's bringing up a good point that
I've heard of ass whoopings that bad, but never from an actual person that I knew. I've heard of it like often, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's that's very interesting. And someone just mentioned it right now that at the time you're thinking it's normal or you're thinking that it's okay, but now that we're much older and we have kids of our own, if you think about it. It's child abuse. The least you could say it's borderline child abuse because, it is what it is. It is what it is. You live and learn. But for real, man, for the last 7 years, I had totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, I got whoopings. As a kid, I was an only child. And I acted out, and I got my ass whooped. I mean, my grandfather used to have this old cowboy belt, and used to have it had like an imprint of a cowboy rounding up cattle, and every time he would whoop my ass with it, like it would leave that imprint of the cowboy hurting the cattle my ass, and like you could literally see the damn outline on my ass of that damn belt, and yeah.
Damn,
like,
Pete.
I used to dread that belt, dude. Like, oh man, that some bitch hurt. It was real leather. He got it handmade in Mexico. That bitch hurt.
Yo, another topic on ass whoopings. I want to flip it on the happier side. You guys want to say is the aim, man. The aim on grandmas and grandpas and mother and fathers with the chancla, man. Chancla throwing, man. It was that thing had a like. My mom, my dad, my grandma especially could teach a class on how to throw a chancla. Because, man, she'll be able to throw a lot of things, man. I remember one time, because one of my grandmas, to the day that she died, she lived in Mexico. And I remember I would go over there for summers and be over there for like a couple of weeks. And I would do like some mischievous stuff. So I knew that I was gonna get an ass whipping, and I was just like, you know what? I already get whipped for like stupid things. Might as well do something that I'm gonna get whipped for. I remember we climb on top of the house. Now, the people who are listening and watching, you gotta understand that Mexican houses are not like the regular houses. You build it the way you build it, meaning whatever you can. You know what I mean? Whatever you can spare. You know, it is what it is. Like just. If any of y'all ever played Minecraft and made a house in Minecraft where the roof is just straight flat and that has no attic, that's pretty much what my grandma's house was. Center block the whole way through on top, and there was nothing on top. You know, after that, there was just nothing. So I remember climbing on top of the house, and she was yelling at me, telling me not to go up there, and I didn't listen. And I kid you not, Pete. I kid you not. She got a piece of the wiper, but it was like a broken wiper, right?
The windshield wiper?
For the cars, you know, the windshield wiper for the cars. She got a piece of that. I remember because my grandpa had to change it off his truck, and she grabbed that thing, she pulled it out, and she was telling me to get off, and I wasn't listening because I was trying to get something from up there. It was I forgot what it was. But man, I remember that specific moment when she picked that up and she just threw it, and it was like a straight out of Call of Duty or any shooting game, man. She led the shot because when I ran, I was in mid sprint and she got me mid sprint, and I'm like, whoa, Grandma figured out that I was gonna be at this specific moment and threw that thing.
She had the wind trajectory down and everything.
Man, it's like she was a freaking sniper with that thing. She got me many times with the chancla too, from across the living room, from trying to run to the street. Man, it's crazy.
Bro, I've heard so many stories of like kids being told to go outside and go pick a switch. Go pick one. Whoop your ass with it.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Go pick a belt. Oh man.
I never got that choice. There was only one belt that ever whooped my ass, and it was that. It was that cowboy one.
Oh man, go pick a belt, man. Pick your poison. It's like picking your president. I'm just playing. Man, politics, and look. I'll be honest. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't care. I'm not that knowledgeable in politics. I feel like it's like trying to keep up with the Kardashians, but probably worse. Where you have to like know everything, every little inside joke, everybody's name, who's on whose side, who do you think is gonna have whose back when shit goes down. Oh man, I can't. I don't know. I know you do politics. I know some of my friends do politics.
Yeah.
I can't do politics that bad. I just can't.
I do politics, but like I'm not the foremost authority in politics. I have my own opinion, but like my biggest thing is that I just want to have a conversation. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. As long as we can have a conversation. I don't want to have an argument. I want to have a conversation. And I mean that's basically it. Like I don't care which way you swing. You know, there's no left or right to me. We're all American.
Yeah, when I think it gets out of hand is when, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or whatever else there is, I'm pretty sure there's other sides, but when you can't even have a simple conversation, as in like not even talking about politics, like Like I said, I'm not really into politics, but I would consider myself more of a Democrat. Yet I've known Pete for a very long time. He's told me that he's Republican, but yet we can have conversations. And now there's people who just cannot have conversations with the other side because they want to talk about it right away, or they just hate the other person for believing a certain thing.
Yeah. A lot of the conversations that I've had that unfortunately turn into arguments were literally end with "fuck you, I'm right, you're wrong." Literally.
The old agree to disagree.
Yeah, kind of. That's the old reliable kind of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's like I said, I'm willing to have a conversation with anyone, anything about politics. I don't care. Gun control, pro-abortion, anti-abortion, whatever. It's all just politics, man. Like I said, we're all Americans. You know, as long as we're not tearing the flag down and burning it, I'm cool.
Yeah, like I said. Yeah, like I said, I'm not very knowledgeable in politics, but I'll go ahead. You know, I'll chime in. I'll say what I gotta say, even though I don't know that much.
At the military as well.
Oh yes, military parents in general, being raising your kid.
Oh wow, yeah, that'd be military experience, but then also just the experience in general from people who've gone in at 18. Gone in, come out, gone back in. Went in the first time without kids, went back in with kids, stuff like that. Just different outlooks on it.
Pete, going back to the ass whoopings.
Oh Lord.
Do you believe that hitting your kid would be much more effective than anything that you can look up online or by some other parent telling you?
I'm an advocate for. So the way that I explain it is, all I have to do is give my kids one good ass whooping for a long period of time. So whether it be a few months, 6 months, or a year, or whatever, as long as I give them one good ass whooping for a good reference, for them to be like, oh, I remember that, then that's what I would do. That's basically my view on it. I'm not for, taking it past that, because there's a very, very defined line between discipline and abuse.
Yeah.
And I'm for
yep.
discipline. I'm not for abusing my children. I'm not them for, them hating me for it. I will literally discipline, my kids, and then tell them why I had to discipline them, explain it to them, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I agree in some points that you're talking about. That I believe that if you're gonna hit a kid, you should tell them why. Don't just go ahead and hit them and then just go to your room. You know what I mean? And then the kids there are probably like trying to figure it out as much as their little brain or their knowledge can, knows how to do it.
Yeah, every kid's different. I mean, some kids you can whoop their ass and they don't care, or you take away their video game or their computer or whatever, and then they'll do whatever you want. Every child's different, and for my kids, I think that one good ass whooping is what makes it for me, and that's just my kids in general. Everybody has a different.
Yeah.
Every child is different. Every parent is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, because like how I said, my 4-year-old, she has autism, and what with her is different. You know what I mean? It's not that we're treating her different. It's just the way that we have to approach the problem is different compared to her sister that's 5 years old. You know what I mean? Like, if we try to hit our 4-year-old the same way that we hit our 5-year-old, it's gonna work very, very different. Our 5-year-old, she knows already now. You know what I mean? She's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't do that," or she's scared of it. Our daughter, the 4-year-old, she will react differently. You know what I mean? Like, she'll probably. There's times where if we do spank her, she'll like not care. It's like if So, and you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm just like, did I even hit you? Did I hit the wind? And I don't. I mean, I'm not those type of parents where it's like, oh, it's got a. I guess it depends on the situation, but I'm not those type of parents who are like, oh, it didn't hurt you. Nah, it's a challenge now, and then they try to go in for like the second or third one just to make it bleed or make it hurt. Like, no, I'm not like that. I'm just like, yeah, it's approaching her is different than approaching the other one, but we both try to send the same message, which is what you did was wrong and why it's wrong. You know what I mean? Someone asked, how did you know that she had autism? Well, because we took her to the doctor, and they pretty much were like, no, well, it's kind of like a thing that she's going to, you know, she's still too small. As she gets older, you're gonna go and we'll test her. We're like, okay, you know, fine. So, man, my girl's probably gonna kick my butt, but I don't remember exactly. I think when she was 3 years old or 2 years old is when they started, or I think it was like 2.5, if that's such a thing. But I think it's between 2 years and a half and 3 years where we started taking her to a specialist. Like, man, once again, I'm forgetting the freaking names, but like for the brain, for the hearing, because we did all the kinds of tests on her. They did at first they thought, oh, maybe she has a hearing problem. So we took her to the place to get her tested, and both ears came out right. You know what I mean? Whenever they had to do the beep or whatever it is, she responded to that. They ran multiple tests, so they're like, okay, she is not deaf. She doesn't have a hearing problem in general. So they're like, okay, we're gonna go on to the next phase. And then to the next phase was the brain one. You know, I keep forgetting the freaking name, man. Once again, we'll talk about it more in another podcast. But yeah, they tested her on the brain, and also a therapist, a person that's works with kids with autism all the time and everything. They tested her. You know, they give her simple commands like, okay, Zola, go ahead and try to do this, and like mimicking, like trying to stack blocks. You know those blocks that almost every kid had when growing up, or nowadays, the ABCs blocks, you know, the wooden ones. They made her, okay, put them in a straight line like a tower, and you know she would stack them up, or and then they're like, okay, try to do it like a snake, and you know put them side to side, and you know certain things she could do, certain things she couldn't. One of the main things that pretty much kind of like was like a big warning was eye contact. She didn't make eye contact at all. No matter if you were trying to get her attention or not, she wouldn't make eye contact. Trying to get her to come to you, that was one of the big things as well too. Being attached to her blankie that she has to this day. One of my tias gave it to her. It's I think when she was like 2 years old. Man, those things. I'm gonna be scared, Pete, when those things freaking finally die, cause we got two, so hopefully they last. But yeah. Man, she loves those blankies. She goes everywhere. I remember in the very, very beginning. Now she's doing much better without them, but she still uses them. But in the beginning, she would not go to sleep, no matter how much she was tired, and she would not go to sleep without them. And she's always. Someone's asking, what test can I ask for? That's a good question. I don't want to give you misinformation right now, so I would say maybe we can probably talk about this in the next podcast, because I don't want to give her the wrong information, because to be honest, I don't remember it right now on top of my head. I know it sounds like a shitty parent of me, but I do remember. To be honest, when it happened, I was in shock, but not in a bad way. I was more like, you know, like when those situations, Pete, where if I told you, hey, Pete, would you give all the money that you have right now so your kid wouldn't have, like, let's say if polio was still around. You know what I mean? Like those type of situations. Yeah, it kind of felt like that with me. Go ahead.
Through a similar situation with my eldest son. At like 3 years old, he wasn't really speaking like he was supposed to. And basically got him tested for autism. And at first they were saying, oh, he's on the spectrum, but he's on the low end. And then got him into speech therapy, went from there, and then kind of find out he didn't have it. It was like you said, it was a shock, just hearing, oh, he's on the spectrum. And then going from that to not having it to it's an experience. It's something that you have to go through it to really be able to express it. But it was hard. I mean, it was hard hearing that, but then also having to be there when he's going through those therapies as well. Like it was difficult. It was difficult going from him just humming or just to actually saying things. It's crazy, man. It was a crazy but also rewarding experience, just because coming to find out that he didn't have it. But yeah, at first it was a real shock. It was
Since I know you at the time you were with your baby mama still, right? Or you were when you were going. Okay, was she? Man, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but was she sort of mean about it? Like, as in, like, you couldn't go to therapy sessions and stuff like that? Because I know there's some baby mamas out there that, once again, we're not trying to bring them down or anything, but like, I know there's some baby mamas out there that even if you're trying to be a good parent, they're always like, nah, you can't be here. No.
For me, my experience, I wasn't able to be there because I had to go to work.
Okay.
Working, but she would let me know how the therapy sessions went. When they first started, she wasn't living with our son, and my son was going with me every weekend. Our son was living with grandparents, and then once she got her life in order, basically went with her. And first, he was going through the whole speech therapy over there, doing all that stuff, and it just transitioned over to that. But I wasn't able to be a part of it because I had to go to work. So that was the biggest thing.
Man, it's hard, and that brings up another topic of like my brother Victor. He's raising his kid from afar, not because the baby mama lives in like in another state, but because of his work. You know what I mean? Especially down here, especially in the valley. In Texas in general. There's a lot of people that work for the oil industry. It doesn't matter if you're like in literally pumping oil, to an electrician, to a scaffold, to whatever it is, pipe fitter, whatever it is, the job title, insulator, whatever it is. There's a lot of parents who have to, if they're not with their baby mama, they have to pretty much teach them from afar. You know what I mean? Life lessons, like teaching them how to drive, pee-wee soccer, pee-wee football, whatever sport it is. It's hard. I bet it's hard, and I would like to get. I don't know if I can, since like I said, my brother works a lot, but I would like to get him in here, and probably have him talk about his experience on that. And I know there's other parents that are like that too, in a way where they like you're on that similar boat. You work a lot of hours, so if your kid had like pee-wee soccer and whatnot, and your job's really pushing you, like, nah, you got to work these hours. There's going to be some conflict, but at the end of the day, you're not some millionaire that can just be like, you know what, F this job. I have enough money. I could just quit and I'll be fine, and I'll just watch my kids. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, if I had a choice to, either work all day or spend time with my kids, I choose my kids every time. But pay my bills, so that's the thing. Like,
yeah, gotta pay the bills. Yeah,
pay my child support.
Pay that child support. Let's talk about child support just a little bit. Do you think? Now, here's the thing that I've been hearing about some people proposing this. I don't know if it's true or not. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, not. Do you think that as a guy who's, or moms too, because I know there's very few cases, but I know there's some moms that pay child. that they should get vaccinated. Just there's people who are saying, well, if I'm helping the child that's like, as a dad, that the baby mama should get, I'm giving her money that she should get vaccinated because that's like a risk to my child. What do you think about that?
Well, like I said earlier, my communication with my baby mama is much different than somebody else's relationship with theirs. Mine took years to build, to be able to talk about these things and to really, for her to respect my opinion and for me to respect hers. We basically had to grow into it, and it just really goes back to being able to have a conversation. That was the biggest thing. It's just being able to have a rational conversation as two adults. Yes, we're talking about our children, but we both care about our children, and we both want what's best for them. And as long as we both understand that, then that's how we can come to terms with things. Because at first I was against her being able to choose when my kids get vaccinated. Because I'm at first I was like, just get them all done. Just get them all done and get it over with. But once we actually talked about it, and she actually gave me her viewpoints on it, and the fact that she was still doing it, but just on her terms, I was okay with it.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, you were kind of like, okay, they're still getting vaccinated. It's just in a different way, so I'm fine with it. That's kind of like the conclusion that you came up with.
We basically came to a middle ground without really coming to a middle ground, where it was still getting regardless, but it was just all that one. So yeah, but it's a weird subject. It just really just depends on the relationship that you have with your baby mom. That's how I see it. I believe children should be vaccinated. That's just my honest opinion. Just because you just don't want to see another outbreak of smallpox, polio, things that can be easily prevented if we just got our kids vaccinated.
Yeah, but I know there's some people who are like blaming anti-vaxxers for, like, the little measles outbreak that was trying to go on and then in the other side of the country.
See, because it was almost fully eradicated for a few years now, and it came back. And it's not because of just anti-vaxxers. It was because, again, going back to herd immunity. The herd immunity was gone. Not everyone was vaccinated for it, and it started coming back. A new strain came out, and people started getting it.
Yeah. So, and I know in other countries who don't have access to the vaccines, whether they want them or not. You know what I mean? I know there's other countries who just they can't have access to it, or they don't have access to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like we said, this is, episode 0, so we're just really just testing out the waters and get the kinks out and stuff. But I think we got a good first episode, honestly.
Yeah.
40 minutes, almost. Hour and 39 minutes.
Yeah, an hour 40. Yeah, you could say an hour 40.
Right. So,
you want to go ahead and cut it off here, and then
cut it off here, and then we said all the topics that we were talking about, we're actually going to do an episode 4 each of them, and have different guests on and get their viewpoint on that stuff. And yeah, like I said, it's a conversation, and really we just want to get the conversation out there, man, about things that people don't think about or people see, but they don't give the day of light to. Things like that, man, and really just mental health altogether, But yeah.
Yeah, definitely a lot of topics to talk about, a lot of stuff that we can definitely bring a light to.
Excited about these things, but like,
what?
What? Oh, I'm just excited to talk about these things, man. Like,
yeah.
Get this podcast off the ground for a while.
Yeah. 7 p.m. people. 7 p.m. on Monday of next week. we're definitely on the dot. We're gonna be talking about. Let's go ahead and announce like at least one topic that you want to talk about. You go ahead. You personally, just go ahead and call it right now. So by next week, people know at least two topics that we're going to talk about. So what is one topic you want to get into? One topic that you want to get into for next Monday's podcast. I'll give out mine and then you can give out yours. So you want to go first, or you want me to say mine, or you want me to go first?
You can go first, man.
Okay, the one that I want to talk about is discipline. Whether you believe in it, whether you don't, whether you think it's hybrid, or you think kids nowadays are more attached to their phones and to their gadgets than ass whooping, so you really don't have to do that no more. What all the in betweens. I want to talk about discipline for sure next podcast.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely one that I want to talk about as well as discipline. One thing that I want to talk about is just communication in general. I mean, just having a good relationship with your significant other or whoever it is that you had kids with. I mean, whether you have one baby mama, two baby mamas, it doesn't matter, just to be open and be able to talk to them, things like that, man. Or just, communication in general with your kids and things like that. That's definitely something I want to touch on next. So it'll be like the discipline / communication episode. But we're not going to have a guest just yet next episode. Episode 3, we're going to have a guest. We're still trying to figure out who's going to come on. But that one's going to be interesting. That one's going to be a good one.
Especially
from,
yeah, we kind of want to alternate between Pete having a guest over like that he brought, and then a guest over that I brought from my side. So different perspectives, different. I think I have someone in mind. Well, I have several people in mind that I want to bring over for sure. But there's one in particular that I want to bring in to talk about his perspective.
Yeah, but like we said, it's gonna be every Monday, 7 p.m. Multitude of topics. But yeah, I think this is a good cutoff point.
Yeah, I think this is a cutoff point. Remember 7 p.m. Monday next week. These two topics that we're going to definitely be talking about next week, and improve the video and audio.
Yeah.
Really, any little hiccups we had today, hopefully we get them ironed out by next week. And, it's a work in progress. So we definitely want to get that in a better state as well too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and cut it off for today. Thank you very much, everybody who listened, who either shared the link, even showed up in general. Thank you so much, everybody, for everything, all the good support that we had today, and hopefully y'all can make it for next Monday at 7. That's going to be the end for today's Yo Baby Daddy podcast. Thank you so much for everybody for listening. Good night.